So I'm bringing you into the kitchen today to do some canning. I have a preserve recipe that I'm going to do, and my friend Rachel over at that 1870s homestead actually just mentioned it the other day, and I got to thinking, I don't have any of that left on my pantry. I need to make some. So that is what I'm doing today. It is maple onion jam. And this is just a really simple recipe, like most hot water bath canning recipes are. But it is an amazing condiment that you can put on all sorts of things. You can put it on burgers, you could spoon it on a steak. I mean, it's just, I really enjoy it, and so I think you will too. Now, this is the same recipe that Rachel does, although there is one ingredient that I do omit because my husband Jeff, aka Mr. Smith, does not like that particular spice. So I do omit it, and that's fine. So to start, I'm going to need to dice 8 cups of sweet onions, and I'm using a Vidalia onion. I've got more than enough onions here, but I'm only going to need 8 cups. Now all of these onion skins I'm actually going to save and stick them in the freezer for the next time that I make beef broth. Those will go right into that. Not only will they give a nice flavor to the beef broth, but the onion skins also give it a nice, rich, golden color. Now for this recipe, the onions don't have to be diced super thin or super small. So I'm doing this just kind of as a little bit of a quick sort of dice. Taking those little green bits out of the middle because I just don't like them. I think they taste bitter. There's nothing wrong with them per se, but I just choose to remove those. Alright, so now here's the fun part. The 8 cups of chopped sweet onions are going to go into a pot with 2 tablespoons of butter, and they're going to cook low and slow for a really long time. Now this is going to take anywhere between 45 minutes to 2 hours. You're just going to cook the onions down until they're just sweet, caramelized goodness. Super soft, almost a jam consistency before you even add anything else. Now I don't stir this the whole time, but I do stay right here in the kitchen and I stir it a lot because you don't want your onions to scorch. You want them to just cook and get golden and sweet. You want those natural sugars that are in the onions to develop, and do your very best to refrain from eating them. You can see the onions are getting soft, but we're going to keep on going until they are nice and just kind of golden colored. Alright, well, my onions are ready. I don't know if it'll show up on camera or not, but these are golden and lovely. But I am reminded why every time this is made it needs to be at least a double batch, because that pot of onions cooked down to that. So I would recommend, after you've made this the first time and you realize that you love it, definitely make a double batch. Or just take my word for it and make a double batch anyways. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add in the rest of my ingredients for this here. Need a half a cup of brown sugar. A teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and as I mentioned, there is another spice that usually goes in here, cardamom, but my husband hates cardamom, so I leave it out if it's something that he's going to be consuming. A third of a cup of apple cider vinegar. And a third of a cup of balsamic vinegar. And then last is the maple syrup. Now this recipe only takes 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. So now I'm going to bring this up to a simmer, and I'm going to let this cook down and reduce and thicken. And once that has happened, then it will be time to can this. All right, so it's time to can up the jam. Now I will tell you, I think I was way overly ambitious with the number of jars that I have heating up here in my canner, but I do always like to prepare a couple of extra jars just in case, no matter what I'm canning. That way I've got jars that are hot and ready to go, and I don't have to dilly-dally if, you know, if I've got more than I thought I did. And this is really thick, so I'm not using a ladle or anything. to scoop this up. I'm just using my spoonula here. I think I may have overfilled this first jar here. Yeah, I'm going to take just a little bit of that out. There are general rules when it comes to canning, and because this onion jam actually has so much vinegar in it, both the balsamic vinegar as well as the apple cider vinegar, it's basically a sweetened pickled onion. So I would consider this safe to can. I am not going to ever can something that I don't think is safe. Never, 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 never. Especially something that's low acid. This is not low acid because we're hot water bath canning these. And I just realized my secondary camera right there has been out of focus this entire time I've been canning these. YouTuber problems. Re-wipe my jars since I've been messing with them now. Make sure they're still nice and clean. Now we'll put the lids on. So this is a hot water bath canning recipe or a steam canner like I have here. Processing time for both is 10 minutes. Of course, you want to adjust for your elevation if you need to do that. So the maple onion jam is done, and 8 cups of onions cooked down to, well, almost 4 jars, 4-ounce jars, little bitty things. So 8 cups of onions became a little less than 2 cups of this jam. So now I'm going to let those sit till tomorrow. Tomorrow I will remove the rings, test the seals, label them, wash the jars off, and then stick them in my pantry. And I can tell you they will not be in there very long. There will be a printable version of this recipe on my website when this video goes up. If you would like to get that, I'll put a link to that down below. And I'm just going to finish off this video with me doing my morning routine here. Thanks for joining me here in the homestead. I'll talk to y'all next time.